Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. And today, we finna react to When Jokes Ruin Your Career. This is an NBA video, so without further ado, let's get right into it.
In this life, it's only natural that there's going to be a bunch of things that beat you down and make you feel real bad about yourself. But as the old saying goes, laughter is the best medicine, and comedy is the oldest cure-all there is. And while we all love traditional comedians and stand-up comics who are able to script their material, the medium of sports and athletics have the potential to create some hilarious moments that are sure to pick anybody up. Whether it be a quarterback falling to his knees in horror after throwing a game-losing pick six, or a fan's intense emotional reaction to repeated losses, comedy and sport go hand in hand. But as NBA fans, I might go so far as to say we have some of the best jokes in all of sports. We have it all, from the hilarious potential for reaction memes to victories, to the dismay of a guy watching as a player who has no business shooting the shot that he shot. It's all hilarious. There's even a dedicated sports comedy show in Shaqtin' a Fool that highlights some of the best on-court gaffes from players and help push one of the biggest personalities in sports in Shaquille O'Neal, a story that we'll get back to later in this video. And you can't forget, we have the greatest joke in all of professional sports, Detroit. And due to how big the NBA has gotten, both in the US and globally, these hilarious moments have been highlighted for their virality and seen by billions across the globe. But unfortunately, all of the laughter comes with a price. And while there are indeed hilarious moments in the NBA, as a consequence of the internet and an overall lack of context, many of the players involved in these viral moments have had aspersions cast over their career, causing many a fan to think of these guys as scrubs, bums, and in some cases, even mentally incapable. So today, I'm going to be highlighting some NBA players whose career perception has been torpedoed for the sake of a joke. For our first player, we have Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight is perhaps one of the most unique characters in all of sport, as he occupies a position that I think he—
Shout out to the homie B Money, man. That's what I used to call him when he used to play for the Bucks. I used to call him B Money, man. Y'all gotta leave B Money alone, man. That was his Detroit days. I know he had some fuck ups on the Bucks too, but still, leave B Money alone, man. Let that man do his thing, man.
He may have very well helped pioneer alongside JaVale McGee for the professional athlete, the lol cow. For those who aren't as terminally online and brain rotted as I am, when I say a lol cow, it refers to a person, typically on the internet, who is constantly exploited for laughs and made a fool at their expense repeatedly on the internet. And while we've seen this archetype many a time before on the internet, usually when we hear of an NBA player or professional athlete of any caliber, you think of the swag, the money, the cars, an overall elite lifestyle that you really can't laugh at. But with the advent of social media and the creation of viral moments, there is nobody who was as relentlessly memed on like Brandon Knight in the 2010s. And speaking from experience, dude was a guaranteed laugh in the middle school lunchroom. You can take your pick of moments you want to laugh at him for. And to be honest for a moment, it's actually like almost a superhuman ability how often B Knight was able to find himself on the wrong end of a highlight. Whether it was getting crossed over into oblivion by Kyrie Irving or whiffing a game-winning—
But see, what nobody never talk about though is he came back at Kyrie on the very next play. He got Kyrie back. But they don't never bring that up though. They always make it seem like Kyrie crossed his ass over and he got embarrassed. No, he came back at Kyrie. He crossed Kyrie too. Like, yo, y'all gotta stop with this propaganda, bro. The propaganda and the slander on Brandon Knight is ridiculous, bro.
Wide open fast break layup. When you think of Brandon Knight, it's probably not to compliment him as a player. But the moment that stands above all is the metaphorical loudest bell in the jester's hat is that—
I can't defend that, but we still won the game though. We still won the game. Don't nobody talk about that though. We still won the game. Even though we had it right there, but I ain't gonna lie, I even had to make a video on this, bro. And I wasn't even like a reaction channel or nothing like that. I was still like a video gaming channel at the time. I had to make a reaction video to this, bro. This nigga pissed me the fuck off.
That DeAndre Jordan poster. That dunk has been everywhere and seen from...
Okay, there was no hope for this one. This one right here, he should have... Why did you jump? That's my question. Why did he jump? There was no purpose to jumping. Just let DeAndre Jordan get that off, bro.
Every angle imaginable. And I won't lie, it's pretty bad. And if I were to make it to the NBA, it is most definitely one of the clips I'd try to hide from my grandkids. But the funniest, or perhaps most tragic part of that highlight, depending on who you are, is that Brandon Knight was in the middle of a pretty great sophomore season and one of the best stretches of his career when it happened. See, following a monster freshman year at Kentucky where he averaged 17.3 points and hit multiple game winners while leading them to a 29-9 record, Knight was drafted number 8 to the poverty franchise to end all poverty franchises, the Detroit Pistons. And unfortunately for Brandon, on top of being with Detroit in all of their perpetual mediocrity, he was also in an elite draft class that had rookies Kyrie Irving, Ricky Rubio, Kenneth Faried, Klay Thompson, and many more, which
Ricky Rubio was drafted was drafted in 2009. So what are you talking about? I get it. He started his career around this time, yeah, but don't say he was a part of this draft class. He was never a part of this draft class. He's part of the Steph Curry draft class. Get your man. Y'all need to do y'all facts, bro. Google ain't that, bro. You on the internet, bro. Google ain't that hard to use. I'm just saying, Google is not that hard to use.
All just further obscured Knight as he was lost in the metaphorical sauce. But despite all of this, Knight had put together a really good rookie campaign, finishing second in scoring amongst all rookies behind Kyrie Irving and coming in 8th place for Rookie of the Year voting behind his stats of 12.8 points and 3.8 assists on 41.5% from the field and 38% from 3 on 4.2 attempts a game. And after this really solid rookie campaign, Knight had come out and improved on his scoring and passing, jumping to 13.6 points and 4.3 assists through the first 56 games of his sophomore season before suffering a hyperextended knee and rolling his ankle against Charlotte on February 21st, 2013, causing him to sit out the next 3 games. But following his injury, Knight returned as an even better player, dropping a career-high 32 points against the Wizards in his first game back, and in 5 games leading up to that fateful night, he was averaging 20 points and 3.4 assists on 46% from the field and an elite 42% from 3 on 6.6 attempts a game. But unfortunately, Knight would play atrocious against the Clippers in his next game, finishing with only 10 points and shooting 33% from the field and 3 as Detroit got smacked by 32 points and all of his prior great play was washed away in his baptism by DeAndre Jordan. And just to add salt on the wound,
to be fair, they was playing against a really good Clippers team that year. The 2013 Clippers will go down as probably the most disappointing. The LA Clippers have always been disappointing, but this was the most disappointing because they was really good this year. Like, I was expecting them to go to Western Conference Finals at best. These niggas got bounced. These niggas got bounced in the first round, bro. Fuck out of here.
Only 24 hours later, with hashtag RIP Brandon Knight posts lighting up social media.
I'll never forget that
Knight
day.
rolled his ankle once again. Every headline made sure to mention what had happened 24 hours earlier. Knight's situation is super unfortunate because even if you add context to the other lowlights of his career, you have to accept how elite he was. Whether it be mentioning that after missing that layup in OT, he hit a game-tying 3 in double overtime for Milwaukee in a game that they eventually won. So even though we all may like to laugh at him, and frankly he does have a generational lowlight reel, Brandon Knight was an absolute dog and we need to put some respect on his name. This brings us to player 2 on the list, Brian Scalabrine. Brian Scalabrine is an interesting player on this list.
I hate the fact that y'all tried to meme this man and then gave him the white mamba. The disrespect to Kobe was disrespectful, bro. I hated y'all for this shit. Brian Scalabrine is hot garbage, hot doo-doo juice. Come on, dog.
Hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a 2-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
Hell no. Trash ass nigga.
All y'all niggas trying to make that meme that y'all created, try to say that Brian Scalabrine was a fucking GOAT. Like, bro, This right here alone made me stay off the internet when it came to like NBA spaces, because I couldn't take y'all seriously, bro. I couldn't, bro. Y'all really out here saying that Brian Scalabrine was the fucking GOAT, bro. I fucking hate y'all for that. And I remember 2K always making a 99 overall card for him, bro. In my team, bro. What the fuck?
In Jesus' name, fuck this nigga.
Fuck Brian Scalabrine. This nigga was 2 packs of ass.
Because similar to Brandon Knight, he too pioneered a path for many an NBA player in the pre-social media age. Because he was one of the earliest NBA players to, as the youth say, stand on business against internet trolls. Because as we all now recognize him as the White Mamba and use it as a bit of a joke nickname to get at a guy who everybody thinks wasn't very good, back in 2013, he held the aptly named Scallenge to prove to a group of average to above average basketball players that they had no chance of beating an NBA bench warmer. Jimmy High Roller dropped a really good video talking about this 3 years ago, and it did a lot to dispel the rumors of Scal as being no better than an average hooper. But this story I'm about to
that still don't excuse the fact that this nigga was trash. Y'all can bring this video up all y'all want to. I know about this video. I'm very aware of this fucking video. That still don't explain the fact that this nigga was trash, bro. Garbage, hot noodle juice, bro. It don't matter, bro. If you trash, nigga. Of course you gonna beat up on a couple of little high schoolers and fucking everyday niggas. You've been playing basketball your whole fucking life. Of course. You run up and down the court. You practice on your shot. Of course you still gonna have this in your DNA. It's muscle memory for you. For some people, it's really not muscle memory. Some people have to really tune up. Some people have to really stretch and work out and really get a bunch of shots in before they can even start playing you. A lot of people don't do this on a regular basis. So of course you're gonna beat up on a bunch of regular people. Fuck out of here, dog. Shit don't mean nothing. You still trash.
Tell you may go a long way in reclaiming some of Scal's glory as an actual NBA player. Because back in the 2004 season, while you may not believe it, he quite literally saved his team in the playoffs. For a little bit of context, in the 2003-04 NBA season, New Jersey was coming off 2 consecutive NBA Finals runs where they were carried to the brightest stage by Jason Kidd and had gotten spanked.
Hey yo, why y'all holding this nigga? He ain't got no shirt on, gay ass nigga.
Mostly a non-threat in the finals, Jersey was a problem in the East, and since their roster was relatively deep, Scal found himself as the 10th man, and I'm not gonna lie to you, he wasn't great. While he did end up finding some time on the court after Alonzo Mourning ended up retiring 12 games into the season with kidney disease, in those 69 games he played in, he only averaged 3.5 points a game on 39% from the field and 24% from 3. But fortunately for Scal and Jersey, he typically wouldn't have to play, save for some stretches in December and towards the end of the season, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the Nets' 14-game win streak, which was their longest of the season, coincided with Scal's lowest amount of time on the court at 5.5 minutes a game from January 25th to February 24th. But regardless of the win streak and everything else, the point is that at this time, there wasn't really a reason to believe that Scal was super elite, and Jersey had rarely needed him to be, which would help the future cases of Scal being considered as a non-factor and bum amongst fans. And so, Jersey skated through the season, winning 47 games, helping them to secure the 2nd seed and walk through the first round of the playoffs where they swept the Knicks. Just to clarify, these were the New Jersey Nets, not the Brooklyn Nets. Y'all are still sorry. Anyways, Scal would only play 8 minutes through the entirety of the first round, as the 3rd string forward wouldn't need to touch the court much since Kenyon Martin was holding it down. And much of this remained the same through the first 4 games of the semifinals against the Pistons, where he only played 24 minutes through the first 4 games and even registered a DMP in Game 2. So entering Game 5, there was absolutely no reason for Scal to believe that he'd play at all, let alone any meaningful minutes. But as the game went on, something interesting, and I'd imagine pretty alarming, began to happen to Nets fans. The refs blew their whistle. First, it began with some calls on Nets center Jason Collins, causing his backup power forward Rodney Rogers to enter the game, and he too soon began picking up fouls. This forced Scal to enter the game in the second, where he got off to a hot start, dropping a quick 8 points, including 2 threes before returning to the bench, likely assuming he'd seen all his action for the night. But as the game continued, the Nets forwards and centers continued to pick up foul after foul, while Scal sat on the bench for the entirety of the last 2 quarters of regulation. And then the inevitable came, and with Kenyon Martin, Jason Collins, and Aaron Williams all being fouled out, Scal subbed into the game just 15 seconds into the first overtime. And for most people watching the game, if they were put in Scal's situation, or if they'd ever seen their team put in a similar predicament with fouls forcing the 4th string into action, it typically spells doom. But on this day, things were different, and Scal would immediately knock down a 16-footer, letting the Detroit crowd on the verge of celebration know the game wasn't over just yet. And he would show up in arguably the biggest game of his career, dropping 9 of the most crucial points through 3 overtimes as New Jersey fought to win a pivotal Game 5.
Wow,
Scal's
9
points would include essentially the game-clinching play where he knocked down
in a series where they still lost and the Detroit Pistons went on to become NBA champions. Wow, bro, you milking this, bro. Please move on to the next. Please.
A 3-pointer to put them up 4 and sealed the game at the line with a free throw to put the Nets up 5 with 27 seconds left in the 3rd overtime. And following some late game hacking of Richard Jefferson, New Jersey was able to secure a 7-point win in a crucial playoff game, with the most important plays being made by a guy who has been clowned on as a joke and a cheerleader by average fans. So even though it may not apply directly to the playoff series where he said it, when Scal says he's going to tell his kids that he hit the game winner in the playoffs, the man won't exactly be lying. This brings me to my final player on the list, JaVale McGee. I've talked about the story of JaVale McGee on this channel before very briefly, but the incident is less of a particular event like that of Brandon Knight or Brian Scalabrine, and more so in the way in which JaVale's progression throughout his career has allowed him to combat the reputation that was forced upon him by the jokes of the NBA fans and media. But as we all know, if you watched any episode of Shaqtin' a Fool in its prime between 2012 and 2015, then you know that JaVale McGee was a first ballot Hall of Famer on that show, and it wasn't even close. Whether you want to talk about the missed dunks, the questionable shot attempts, or the outright confusing and illogical behavior he would sometimes exhibit on the court, JaVale was a lolcow in the purest sense of the word for the NBA world, and for one legendary big man in particular. Shaquille O'Neal was absolutely relentless with the way that he targeted JaVale for years as his Shaqtin' a Fool program went on, and even gave JaVale the first back-to-back Shaqtin' a Fool MVPs in the show's history in the first 2 years of its existence. It's a set of accolades that I'm sure he could have done without, but it did put him in some elite company with another NBA legend in Russell Westbrook, who would go on to be the second guy to win the award back-to-back in 2021 and 2022. However, the difference between Russ's awards and JaVale's is that Russ, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer and MVP, is somewhat more insulated from the effects of Shaq's ridicule due to everyone understanding his greatness as a legend of the sport. And while he's by no means immune to the effects of the jokes and has been affected by negative criticism, it was always to a different scale from what JaVale was getting. Shaq's repeated targeting of JaVale from 2012 all the way up to 2017 gradually increased from a humorous pestering to what at times seemed to be mean-spirited targeting, where he'd highlight seemingly meaningless plays to attempt to get a cheap laugh off on JaVale. And since he's not a superstar franchise cornerstone type of player like Russ, he's much more susceptible to the effects of the media and the constant pestering and ridicule of a figure like Shaq, and it can go a long way in shaping the public's perception of a non-superstar. Speaking for myself, I can say that JaVale was certifiably one of the main punchlines when it came to NBA conversations in middle school and high school. And ashamed as I am to admit it, I did drink the metaphorical Kool-Aid of questioning JaVale's capability not only as a basketball player.
I never questioned JaVale. I just knew that he just made some bad plays. Like, real talk. Like, I realized that he made bad plays, but I saw the good in his game, though. I always saw the good in his game. Great rim protector, very athletic in his youth. Wouldn't pass him the ball on the transition, though. Wouldn't pass him the ball at transition because he would more than likely he make a Shaqtin' a Fool highlight. But if you throw it to him at the right spot, he can get you a bucket. I remember seeing him go off against my Bucks one year when he was playing in Denver. I remember, bro, we couldn't stop him for shit. This nigga was getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound, and all of them were putbacks. I was like, damn, this nigga just busting our ass. I was like, damn. We still won that game though. But JaVale was. I've always saw the good in JaVale's game. At a certain point, I did start getting into the feeling that Shaq was like really like bullying him. He may say, "Oh, I wasn't bullying." Yes, the fuck you were, sir. You were literally just picking any type of hot. Even Kenny and Charles had to call you out on that shit. Cause they was looking like, nah, dog, that was unnecessary. That wasn't. It was like, no, that was necessary. Look at what he did right there. You telling me that's not, bro? That's not that serious, bro. He slipped. He slips on the floor. That's a Shaq in the Fool moment. JaVale McGee. It's like, all right, bro. The man slipped on the floor. Like, it's not that serious. And it wasn't like he made a boneheaded play or anything like that. He literally just slipped. That's it. It was never that serious. Then there was one time he missed a dunk. It was like, okay, he missed a dunk. That happens. LeBron misses dunks. Kobe misses dunks. A lot of people miss dunks. That was never that serious. Like Shaq was really bullying this man.
But just in general. Now, in my defense, 1, I was like literally 15, and 2, you watch a man sprint full speed the other way out of context in a short clip and tell me what you would think
I
of
can't
the
explain
mental
that.
faculties of that guy. Kidding aside, the point is that Shaq's jokes did real damage to JaVale's own psyche, and when you add on the constant injuries that he'd already been facing during the early part of his career, you can get a sense of how detrimental this could be to repeatedly be made the butt of the joke. And the worst part is that while JaVale was being ridiculed and clowned repeatedly on national TV by Shaq, he was actually putting up respectable numbers for a center. As from the 2010 to 2013 season, right in the prime of him winning Shaq-ing MVPs, he was averaging 10 points, 6.8 rebounds, and holding it down defensively with 2.2 blocks a game. This included dropping an insane triple-double where he tallied 11 points, 12 rebounds, and a mind-boggling 12 blocks on March 15, 2011. A feat that is quite literally historical.
And Shaq never gave that nigga his props.
Since 2000, only 3 players have blocked 12 shots in a game, and in Wizards history, he and Manute Bol are the only players to tally 12 or more blocks in a game. And yet, all of his contributions to, albeit a very bad, Wizards team were instantly overshadowed by Shaq and the Fool. And this all came to a head in 2016 when JaVale went public about the toll the jokes took on him in his career perception in the eyes of fans, saying fans think it's real and I'm a dumb person, and admonishing Shaq for trying to ruin his career over basketball mistakes. And lest you think that JaVale was overreacting to the jokes, his eventual coach, and the perfect revenge point for this story, Steve Kerr, came out and admitted that he was similarly influenced by Shaq and Fool, believing that JaVale was a bad player. This is perhaps the most severe instance of a career being adversely impacted by the jokes made in the public eye, as the man responsible for JaVale's playing time and his production, which directly impacts his ability to make a living, was caught up in the jokes and lowlight reels, and it almost ruined JaVale's career. But following JaVale's arrival in Golden State in the 2016-17 season, he was finally in the national spotlight and not only being seen in lowlight reels, but being put in front of the national scene repeatedly on a winning team. And his success was undeniable, as despite his limited minutes, JaVale was an impact player for the Warriors whenever he touched the court, averaging 6 points and 3 rebounds in just 9 minutes during the 2016-17 season, and proving—
And say what you want, but he got 3 rings. JaVale McGee has 3 NBA championships. He has almost the same amount as Shaq has, so Shaq really can't say shit to him.
Himself to be far more than just a joke with each passing game. So JaVale would not only win his first ring in 2017 with Golden State, but also see Shaq apologize to him after his own mother stepped in to tell him to stop targeting JaVale. And to throw even more salt on Shaq's wound, JaVale would grab another ring in 2018 with Golden State and one more in 2020 with Shaq's own Lakers team, just to make sure. From the world's punchline to a serious contributor on 3 separate championship teams, JaVale McGee stands as perhaps the only example of a role player who battled the narratives of incompetence from the media and came out on top. But with the JaVale McGee portion of the video over, we've reached the end of the video. Like I said earlier, we all love to laugh, and trust me, brother, I was there for some of these lowlights, and they were hilarious then, and they're still hilarious now. But when we cross the threshold as fans and allow for these brief 10 to 15 second out of context clips to inform our entire opinion of a player and their body of work without ever actually analyzing their game and contributions to winning, we lose the plot. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, and please like, sub, and hopefully I catch you in the next one.
Alrighty, man. That's just gonna about do it for this one, man. I will see you in the next video. Till then, peace out.